Gun control. The very utterance of those two words used to send shivers down my spine. I was one of the first to yell, "You can take my guns from my cold dead fingers." I feared the election of anti-NRA congressmen and presidents. I worried that my Second Amendment rights would be reinterpreted to allow for the government to confiscate my guns. I was determined that no matter what happened in society, I would never agree with anyone who sought to limit my constitutional rights. But something changed my mind. Something horrible. Imagine we're all at a concert hall. We're packed inside a room and we're all facing away from the entrances. We're preparing to hear the Philharmonic Orchestra perform some of the greatest classical symphonies of all time, when suddenly, gunfire rings out behind us. At first, we look around in shock, but as people fall down around us, panic sets in. We're trying to crawl over each other to find a means to escape. The screams of the victims are all around us, and somewhere in the chaos is the sound of gunfire and the smell of gunpowder. I used to think that this type of scenario was only found in the realm of movies. I didn't think anything like this could ever happen in the real world. But I was wrong. Events like the Batman Massacre and the Columbine incident have helped change my mind. On July 20th of 2012, suspect James Holt allegedly entered a Colorado theater at 12 a.m. for the midnight screening of The Dark Knight Rises. Authorities and news media claim that Holmes left the theater through an emergency exit and then re-entered wearing body armor and carrying multiple firearms, including an AR-15 with a 100-round magazine attached. What happened next is horrific. James supposedly opened fire on the masses. These men, women, and children were effectively trapped in the room with the gunman, and at present count, 12 people are dead and 58 ended up wounded. These people were unable to react to the unexpected violence. A movie theater should be safe from such horrors. Wouldn't you agree? According to the Huffington Post, Holmes had spent 3 months amassing an arsenal. They report he bought several weapons and ingredients to make explosives online, and he had them shipped to his house. Rachel Quigley of the Daily Mail wrote that he wrote a notebook detailing out his horrific plans. The scariest part is that even though evidence has surfaced that suggests that Holmes was seeing a psychiatrist, he had a clean criminal history, so he would not have shown up as being a threat. But I am plagued with questions. How did an unemployed college student manage to purchase so many weapons and so much ammunition without raising any red flags? The fact that someone can have material shipped to their home that can be used to manufacture explosives without drawing any attention is worrisome as well. To understand how this could have happened, we have to understand the rhetoric behind gun ownership. The rhetoric that people follow is simple, but misleading. People use the Second Amendment as justification for keeping their guns, claiming that the founders wanted us to be able to stand up against our government. But the question is, could we really? The simple answer is no. The number of tanks, bombs, and fighter jets our government has at its disposal could effectively end any uprising. And let's not forget that if they wanted to quell a rebellion, they also have nuclear weapons to defend their interests. No, we have to admit that we cannot take our government by force, and the Second Amendment is then obsolete. The only way to have a check and balance over the government is to use our rights as voters to ensure that it follows the paths we wish it to. Others will say that they need guns to defend themselves. But statistics show that violent crimes have actually been decreasing overall. The FBI website shows that violent crimes such as murder and rape have decreased each year by 4 to 6% since 2007. Statistics on StatisticBrain.com show that gun ownership has actually decreased from 42% in 2007 to 36% in 2011. So if one needs gun to defend themselves against crime, why are crimes going down as gun ownership also decreasing? Still others will claim that we have a right to hunt. This may indeed be a common pastime in these modern times, but most of our hunting is purely for sport and luxury, not necessity. We're able to get the food that we need by going to one of the many grocery outlets in our neighborhood. Hunting could also be done using bows or muzzle-loading rifles. Muzzle-loading rifles have to be reloaded after every shot in a manner similar to the guns used by American colonists. Having to reload this way would make guns ineffective for use in crimes, especially crimes like the one that occurred in Aurora, Colorado. A few have even claimed that the answer to preventing gun crimes is to carry a gun. I feel that instead of curbing violence, this would further encourage it. In the case of the tragedy in Aurora, more innocent people would have been at risk if another person had opened fire on Holmes. In the end, I believe we need stricter gun laws to prevent tragedies such as these. Eliminating the sale of military-style rifles and high-capacity magazines would be a great first step. I believe that deeper background checks need to be performed to ensure that guns do not fall into the wrong hands. I also think that regular psychiatric visits should be required of gun owners to ensure that they do not possess a danger to themselves or to others. As a gun owner, these ideas may seem scary, but as a person, the idea that my loved ones could be gunned down just because some lunatic decided that opening fire into a crowd of innocent bystanders sounds like a great time, well that terrifies me.